For another daily tips. I hope you're excited about today's wild and crazy episode with a lot of action and adventure, a little bit of fantasy involved, and if I'm being honest, none of those things are going to happen. Okay, so today we're going to discuss hot corners. Hot corners is a feature that's been built into Mac for quite a while, but it might be in a slightly different spot. Now I'm working in Mac OS 15, so if you don't have the newest, latest, and greatest OS, I highly recommend you update. There's no reason really not to, so I would go ahead and update that. So here's what hot corners are and how they work. If I go to System Settings, now I have my system settings down on the dock, which is this bar at the bottom with all my apps on it. You can just drag applications here or drag them and hold them to release them. But if you don't, if you've removed system settings, you can find that under the Apple menu, System Settings. Okay. What I'm going to do is I'm going to navigate on the left-hand side to Desktop and Dock. Okay, and then I'm going to scroll all the way to the bottom on the right here, and you see hot corners. Now, pro tip, if you don't know how to find hot corners, like if you didn't follow along, you can actually go right here to the search bar and start typing hot, and you'll see hot corners show up. You can do this to find almost anything. So for instance, if I want to find my screensaver, I can just type in, screen, and you'll see I've got screen time down here, screensaver, change your screensaver. So I can do that for any of our settings. Okay, so just in case you're wondering, that's an easy way to find settings. All right, so I'm going to go to hot corners. When I open this up, you're going to see I've got 4 drop downs with a preview of my screen in the middle and 4 arrows pointing to each corner. All right, that tells you that this drop box here is going to affect this top left corner of my screen. Same goes for the top right, bottom left. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to change these drop down boxes to access something that we want to do. All of them have the same options. Okay, now I will point out this means when I activate this that if I pull my mouse down to that corner, it will activate whatever setting I have applied. I don't personally like to use this top left corner. The reason being, my Apple menu is here. I click on the Apple menu all the time. I don't want to accidentally go too far and activate something that I didn't mean to. The top right is a little safer. I rarely click on my date and time, although if I wanted to, that pulls up my notification bar. So you can use that as you will. I typically use my bottom left or bottom right. Okay, if you have an extra monitor or something like that and you're dragging off the screen, you just got to be careful not to go all the way down to the bottom right or bottom left. All right, so let's look. By default, Mac will give us this quick note option in the bottom right. I'm going to go ahead and click done. If I drag to the bottom right of my corner, you'll notice that I've got this little note, this little black box. If I click on it, I'm going to get a quick note. Now, I've stopped and started this video a couple times, so I've already got a little note in here called "This is a note." All right, but I can make a note here, and that will just store it in my notes application. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and quit this. If I drag back down to the right again, you'll see that same note appears. So it's just a way to access quick information without leaving a sticky on my desktop. If you like that, and you can create more notes than just that too. If you like that, that is a function available. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and click on hot corners here. Close this notes up. I'm going to change this quick note right now to nothing. All right, I'm going to play around with this bottom left one. So the top ones here, Mission Control Application Window, Desktop, Notification Center, those have to do with Stage Manager, which I think I've talked about in a previous video. If not, let me know. I can always cover Stage Manager more in depth for you. but for me, they're pretty much useless. Mission control might be useful if you actually use multiple desktops. That's not multiple screens, that's multiple desktops. I'll talk about that later in another video. Notification Center is the only one up here that might be useful. If I click on Notification Center and I hover down to the bottom left, you'll see it just pops up this notification bar. Okay, again, we can get there by clicking on the date up here. Okay, so I'm just going to click anywhere on the screen, blank space. That does away with that. Launchpad is an app that's been built into Mac for a while now. It's actually right here on my dock. What this does is that it makes our screen appear to be like an iPad or an iPhone. It takes all the apps that we have installed and puts them in one nice, convenient space. So I went ahead and turned that on to Launchpad. If I drag to the bottom left, you'll see I bring up the app screen like I was talking about. And I can just scroll left or right here and see all the apps I had installed. Now, here's kind of a gotcha. This is a great program and it works really nice to find apps, but it's not always 100%. Like for instance, right now I'm looking at my app screen. You notice I've got 4 pages. I'm looking for QuickTime Player. If I scroll through here kind of quick, I mean, you can pause the video and just double check me if you want. I can't find QuickTime Player. If it's there, I don't see it. That doesn't mean you can't find it. So there's a search bar right up here. I can just click and type quick, and you'll notice I get QuickTime Player. So just because you can't find the app doesn't mean you can't access it. So if I want Photoshop, for instance, if I can actually type Photoshop, you'll notice there's my Photoshop. And I've got all my other photo applications as well. Alright, so that's Launchpad. If I click on any empty space like I just did, it will take me out of Launchpad. Alright, put the display to sleep. It's kind of self-explanatory, and lock screen locks the screen. Now, that's a good thing to do. However, I like to do something slightly different, and this is up to you. Because I'm very old-fashioned, and I believe that screens can get burn-in, and some still do. Laptops aren't really known for that, but if they come out with the OLED, it can be prone to burn-in. New technology is kind of making it better, but can be prone. I like to do a screensaver instead of this lock screen. Okay, so I'm going to do start screensaver here. Now, I'm going to go ahead and click done. Now for me, actually, if I'm being honest, I like to put it in the bottom right hand corner. So I do start screensaver down here and say done. Now if I drag my mouse to the bottom right hand corner of the screen, my screensaver is going to start. Now here's the trick. I'm not going to do this for you right now because if it starts, it's going to stop my video. Then I have to start another video. We'll have to edit everything. You'll miss the whole scene anyways, so it's a whole thing. But the setting I would change if I set that to start screensaver is over here on the left, back in System Settings. Again, if this isn't open still, just go up to Apple, System Settings. Scroll down to where it says Lock Screen. Okay. At the top of my lock screen, it'll say Start Screensaver when inactive. Now, if I'm not actively using my computer, do I want to kick up a screensaver? By default, mine's set for 20 minutes. If I set for 20 minutes, my screensaver is going to start. So I walk away from my desk and I forget about my computer. My screensaver is automatically going to start. Okay, you can set that for whatever time you want. 1 minute, 2 minutes, an hour and a half, 3 hours. Never start my screensaver. That's an option as well. These next two turn display off when battery when inactive. That means if it's not plugged in and I'm not using my computer, I want you to go ahead and turn off the display to save battery. When do I want you to do this? Well, for me, never. I don't want you to turn off my display. Okay, I understand it gives me this warning. Hey, if you set to never, you're going to shorten the lifespan of your computer. And that is a true statement, 100% true statement. Your computer will die faster. Your screen will burn out. However, in all my years of doing this, I can make a screen last for 7, 9 years, no problem. These screens are designed to last 20 years. So I'm not super concerned about the lifespan of my screen as much as I am the lifespan of my battery, which is what it is, right? New technology wants to make them last longer. I don't care. All right, turn display off on power adapter. That means it is plugged in. Same thing as this one, but this one's unplugged and this one's plugged in when inactive. Okay, so this is actually shutting down the display. The top one is starting a screensaver. This one's shutting down the display. For me, again, that's never, right? And then this final option, require password after screensaver begins. Okay, this is the big one for me. I would set this to immediately. All right, if yours is set to 5 minutes or 10 minutes, what I like to do is when this screensaver starts, I am effectively locking my computer. Okay, so you can actually set this one to never if you want. Don't start my screensaver. I like to do this because if I walk away from my computer and forget to lock it, then it'll automatically go to screensaver. And as soon as it goes to screensaver, in order to get out, I have to type my password. Okay. Now, by setting this to immediately, the other thing we just did, if we jump back to desktop and dock, and I scroll all the way down to hot corners, notice I set up start screensaver. So what those two settings combined do is if I drag my mouse to the bottom right hand corner of my screen, not only will my screensaver start, but now my computer's locked, which means you need my password to get back in. So if I get up from my desk and I walk away, I don't have to worry about a student, a staff member, a janitor, a midget, an elf, a unicorn. No one is going to come in and access my computer without having my password. Okay, so I'm locking the screen, but I'm also starting the screensaver, which keeps my screen moving so that I don't get burnt in. That's it.